There were 4 people here. Yeah.
Thank you. What you say, which is very interesting, is very similar to what George Berkeley said, as you probably are aware, in the 18th century. There is a question to which he answered in 2 different ways, so I'm really curious about how you would answer to this. The question that his contemporary asked him about the tree in the forest that nobody is perceiving. So what kind of existence does it have?
Let me answer also a question you didn't ask, but which was nice in your introduction. I will answer that in a second. Berkeley was an idealist, probably the first major famous idealist. I feel compelled to label myself as an idealist. In other words, somebody who believes that only the reality of mentality exists, nothing outside of subjective experience, for the mere reason that materialists invented a concept of a world outside of mind, a world outside of consciousness. If they hadn't invented that, I wouldn't need the word mind. It's just what there is. There's no need to invent a word for it. It's all there is. Daniel Dennett likes to say that, you have heard about the hard problem of consciousness, the magic step that is required for matter to generate mind. Daniel Dennett always says, this problem doesn't exist, it's artificial. Yes, he's right. The problem doesn't exist. The error in my mind that he makes is that he denies this duality by saying that mind is an illusion, which of course raises the question, who the hell is having the illusion? Instead of the obvious alternative, which is mind is all there is. So there is no hard problem of consciousness. The brain doesn't generate the mind for the same reason that a whirlpool doesn't generate water. It's all in mind. Now, to go back to your question, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody around, did the tree fall in the forest? My position is that all subjective experience is real as such, and only subjective experience is real. That does not mean that all subjective experiences are the experiences of human egos. In other words, if there is a region in the medium of mind where the experience of the tree falling is registered, although no human ego was around to register it, yes, it's still real, because it's a subjective experience. And then you can come to the question of whether the collective unconscious is in some ways conscious. I think it is. I don't think there exists an unconscious at all. So I think all reality is a subjective experience, but that does not mean that a human ego needs to experience it for it to be real.
Because it's not in the center of it.
It's not in the whirlpool, but it's still in the stream.
So it would be like the second answers by Berkeley, like God is the one who perceives the tree that falls in the forest.
I'm not getting to the G word.
Maybe we could say the tree hears itself fall. First I want to congratulate you on your elegant simplicity.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to hear you talk a little bit about the relationship between self-localization and non-locality of the whole.
In about 30 seconds.
Oh.
Well, but he can do that. You see, he understands elegant simplicity. You understand the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just.
There has to be a mechanism in the self-localization process to make us, quote, unconscious of everything that's going on, because I am postulating that everything is going on in the same mind. So in principle, we should all have extrasensory perception of everything that is happening across space, time, and beyond. We don't. So there is something that is going on there. I do not have the time to get into that, because it's the most complex part of my argument. It's in the book, but it's not in this presentation. But I would just suggest, very brief, it will not be satisfying, but it will give you a line of thought. When you look up to the sky at noon, you only see blue, you don't see the stars. But the stars are still there. The photons from the stars are still hitting your retina, just as they would at night. At night you would see them all, at noon you don't, but they are all still there, and the light is still hitting your retina. It's just that they are obfuscated by a much stronger source of light, namely the sun refracting on the atmosphere. In my mind, there is no unconscious. There is only egoic obfuscation. So non-locality is with us all the time, but it's obfuscated because in the middle of that whirlpool, there is a self-referential process going on that amplifies the context of egoic awareness and obfuscates everything else, just like the stars at noon. It's all still there, but we are so taken by this loop of egoic awareness that amplifies mental contents, that you become aware that you're aware, that you're aware, that you're aware of something, that everything else is obfuscated. I don't have time to...
Nice tree.